Yeah, that's a great question. I would say it's a false dichotomy, political before it's gospel. I think we need to be consistent in they're both. Politics is essentially legislating morality. So when someone says as a Christian, I don't believe that Christians should be involved in politics, I would say, do you believe Jesus has something to say about morality? And the answer is, of course, what? Yes. And so that's a realm that Jesus has something to say in. And so that's what politicians are doing. They're legislating ethics, morality. They're saying this ought to be done, this ought not to be done. And I'm saying that God has something to say about that. And so when Christians take their voice out of the realm of politics, what they're saying is that Jesus has nothing to say in the area of morality and justice and righteousness. That is just not consistent with the Christian worldview. But when someone says something, it's interesting too, because I think it's something that's like, it should be so patently obvious to us. But we oftentimes just haven't thought far enough ahead, steps ahead, to see kind of like where this gets inconsistent. When someone says, well, if we just abolish it and establish justice, they're just going to do it in the corners of society and back alleys. My first response to that is, yeah, murders are supposed to take place in dark alleys, not in the public square. Are we done? When someone says it's going to take place anyways, I would say, do you talk that way about sex trafficking? If we abolish sex trafficking, it's just going to be done in these secret places anyways. I would say, yeah, and then we go and we send police officers there to charge these people with crimes, right? You do not want it to be in the public square acceptable and everybody's allowed to do it. You want it to be in the dark places of society. That's where it belongs. That's where crimes belong. They belong in the alleys. We don't say, well, it's going to take place anyway. I mean, think about it for a second. Guys, you can criminalize murder, but people are still going to do it. So, great. So we'll just allow it to happen in the public square. Guys, I mean, think about it right now. Theft is against the law, and it's still happening. So do we remove theft from the books? Like, people are doing it anyway, so all the oxen free. It's like, wait a second. So when people say that, it's interesting because we hear that at the abortion mill by the pro-aborts. They'll say, if you criminalize this, people are just going to do it, in dark alleys. We would say, well, then that's where crimes belong. We hope that's the case, right? And it's interesting because if you look at just a recent situation, Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland, wow, thank God, these historically Christian places with historic Christian tradition behind them. It wasn't until a couple of years ago that abortion was forced upon them, forced upon the North, and it was voted in by the Republic, the South. It was against the law in Ireland. It was considered murder. It was considered a criminal act in Ireland up until a couple of years ago. I was there when it was passed in the Republic. And again, it was forced on the North. I think they were doing all right in terms of this is considered a crime in our nation. You're not allowed to do this. If you wanted to kill your child, you had to leave the island. You had to go somewhere else to kill your child. And I think that's a good thing. I think that's a praiseworthy thing. I'm not sad for Ireland that they considered abortion a crime and people had to actually leave that nation to kill their children. Because if you're going to kill your child in that way, that's where it belongs. Outside of this place and this jurisdiction where we're going to protect children here. That's what we're going to do here.